Hello and welcome back to Investment Vitals. 16th of August 2024 is the deadline for electing between the US process or the Bahamas process of the ongoing FTX claim case. Today, I will be covering the key highlights released by the Bahamas process in this aspect. Within the next 24 hours, I will be showing a step-by-step video separately for Bahamas process and also separately for the US process. So wait for that video, and without wasting time, let me dive into this docket. But before I proceed, nothing contained in this video or on my channel is legal or financial advice. Take your own informed decision after consulting with a legal or financial advisor if you deem it necessary. With that, let me proceed with the document here. This is the document released by PwC in the FTX Bahamas case, and this covers at a big picture level the differences or the similarities between the US and the Bahamas process, and it might help you take your decisions. As I mentioned, I will be showing you step-by-step video for both the processes. Also, I will make another video tomorrow to cover the key differences and benefits, and also to address some of the queries that have been raised on my channel earlier by the users. Let's move ahead. This is the document. I will only be taking you through the key highlights that I feel is important, but I would encourage you to read through the entire document. If you have any queries or questions on this, please feel free to ask me in comment section, and I'll try my best to get back to you within my capabilities. Now, I would be only stopping at the areas that I believe is important. This is again the basis of preparation of document. It's specified here as well that this is without liabilities on these people. Again, same applies to me. This video goes without liability onto me. I'm not a financial or a legal advisor. Nonetheless, the table of content, I'll skip through this one. I'll go to the areas that I deem important. The background, we all know, we are all victims of the fraud that happened. But let me go to the key portions thereof. The document discusses in section 1.3 about the global settlement agreement. As was discussed in my earlier videos, for the viewers who would have seen it, given the size of commingling between the US division and the rest of the division, it was very difficult for the liquidators to apportion what asset pertains to US division and what pertains to Bahamas, so on and so forth. And hence, as highlighted here, after extensive negotiations, the global settlement agreement was executed between FTX Digital, which is the Bahamas process, and the US debtors on 19th of December, and subsequently approved by both the Supreme Court of Bahamas and the US Bankruptcy Court. So this has also been approved by the two courts wherein the proceeding is ongoing. As a result, FTX Digital, that is Bahamas process, is entitled to access the whole of FTX Group estate for benefit of its customers, including all realizations and gains made by the US debtors, as both estates will pool recoveries to pay creditors of both estates on the same basis. In summary, all the assets held by US or the international or the Bahamas division will be taken together, and the proceeds will be almost identically divided between the US process and the Bahamas process. In the next page, they specify a little bit more. The GSA, that is the agreement I spoke about a while back, allows FTX.com customers, which is the international customers of FTX, to choose whether they wish to participate in either the official liquidation process of FTX Digital Marketing, which is Bahamas process, or alternatively the US Chapter 11 case, which is the US process. This was also covered in my earlier videos. However, they cannot participate in both. This we had touched upon in a previous video, but it was not so clear back then, but it was pretty much fairly understandable. It is specified now that we have to choose between one of them two, and they have specified the deadline here as 4 p.m. prevailing Eastern time on 16th August 2024. That is coming up this week. So please make sure to put your vote. I will be taking towards the end of this document. They have also covered who need to and who need not necessarily vote. I will also make a detailed video separately to address many questions that people have. Nonetheless, it also specifies towards the end that from the election deadline, claims confirmed as going forward in one process will be withdrawn from the other, and it will no longer be possible to switch processes, which implies that once you have made your election on or before 16th of August, you cannot change it later on. For example, somebody who has chosen Bahamas process might not be able to switch over to the US process, and vice versa. So choose wisely. Again, it also specifies that non-customer creditors only have claim in Bahamas process, but I believe most people watching this video would not fall under this section, and hence I will not discuss much about that in this video. Further, although there are some differences between Bahamas and US processes, As we had discussed in my previous video, it is expected of both the US debtors and JOL, that is the Bahamas, that .com customers, essentially meaning the customer outside of US, that is customers are outside of the FTX.US website, will receive same value in distribution on or around the same dates. Essentially speaking, they are trying to coordinate in such a manner that irrespective of the process that you follow, US or Bahamas, ideally speaking, you should be getting similar amount of money and around the same amount of time. This is what their attempt is. Might or might not fructify. I am nobody to guarantee this, but they are making all attempts to ensure that to try to distribute equally under both the processes around the same time, so that there's no so that it's an equal treatment. Further, it says before distribution payments are made in respect of creditor claims, it will be necessary for customers and creditors to satisfy know your customer, that is KYC, anti-money laundering, which is AML, and tax reporting requirements, irrespective of the process that they participate in. We had discussed this in the previous video that no court would allow funding to be made to a unauthorized entity or an entity which could be, say for example, deemed to be sanctioned, banned, or a terrorist organization, so on and so forth. And hence we had presumed that KYC would necessarily be required in both the processes, and that is specified here. Further, the JOL and US debtors are using the same base calculation and valuation methodologies at a common date when assessing the claim value of each customer. This is also covered in the later section of the document. I will talk about it, but they're essentially saying that the basis of your claim is being set on the same date and the same exact calculation methodology, so that nobody loses out on either of that. So it's for equal treatment basis. Further, it says customer will be subject to same or similar KYC, AML, and tax reporting requirements. Essentially meaning they are trying to keep both the processes similar. Also, the JOL and US debtors plan to use the same or similar payment schedule and mechanism to make distributions to customer. There has been some clarity that has recently been issued. One of them is mode of payment. Initially, there was a discussion of release a check only. Now they are giving multiple avenues. Some of it has been covered in this document. I'll talk about it in the later section. It also says that in Bahamas process, any customer or non-customer creditor who wishes to file an electronic proof of debt may still do so up to the proposed Bahamas bar date of 4 p.m. prevailing Eastern time on 16th of August. That is the Bahamas bar date. It highlights that the customer bar date for US process passed on 29th of September 2023. As a result, customers who did not object to the scheduled claim amount in US process by that date may be barred from doing so. Essentially implying that if you were not able to participate in the US process, you still have that window available only in the Bahamas process. So if you have to choose, for those people who could not file in US, it becomes practically the only option left to go for the Bahamas process. Also, it specifies that in the US process, claims below $10, that is de minimis claim, will not be paid. We have discussed this in the previous video, so those who follow this channel know this already, that if your claim value is $10 or less than $10, then you would not be entertained in the US process, and hence de facto Bahamas becomes the only process that you can apply for. Less than $10, not many might be interested. However, I'm nobody to comment on anybody's financial circumstance. $10 could be a big amount for some people, and hence if you want to claim an amount which is less than $10, you will have to necessarily go for the Bahamas process. Also, it says that the distributions in Bahamas process could be diluted if GOL, that is uh, 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 accept incremental claims in excess of 75 million US dollars of the schedule balance. However, based on current formation and claims to the date, US do not expect that this will occur. I will not elaborate more on this. However, the basis or the extent of the claim that we are looking forward is around $119 that I'll cover in the later part of the document also. I will try to summarize some of the key highlights from these documents towards the end if I get time. Else, I will make a separate video for that. But I would recommend that you go through this document and also watch this video to in entirety to get an idea of how things are going. Right, now to the main part. 16th of August, 4 p.m. is the time, as I mentioned some time back, also covered in the document. It says to confirm that to submit a proof of debt in the Bahamas process. If they have not already done so, customers should follow the instructions on FTX Digital Claim Portal. The link to this website is on the document. I will try to place this link in the comment section or on the description of the video. You can follow the link. Make sure that it is the official link. Do not click on a link that could be spoofed. You go through authenticated link. Note that the ending hyperlink will have to be pwc.com. Be careful on that aspect. To confirm that they have elected their claim process in Bahamas process, the customer should complete the election form on FTX Digital Claim Portal and select option 1. Option 1 stands for participate in Bahamas process. Note, as I mentioned some time back, that if you select option 1, you will automatically be debarred from the US process. If you have any reason to go for the US process, you might select option 2 that I'll talk about in some time down. Customers who submitted their proof of debt prior to 10th of July 2024 will receive an email with instruction on how to access this form. The form can also be accessed directly from FTX Digital Claim Portal. Most subscribers to the channel would have already filed it on 10th of July, and hence most people watching this video would actually be subject to the first option given here. However, I know some new viewers might not have filed it before 10th on or by 10th of July, and hence for their case they will have to go submit the proof of debt on FTX portal and proceed with the process that is given here. Further, it says that customers who make an election to participate in the Bahamas process using the above step are not required to complete or submit any portion of the US ballot. Now, people who have already this I'll cover in later in a later part of the video also. Further, it says, note, customers who elect to participate in the Bahamas process via the US ballot need not submit their proof of debt on FTX Digital Claim Portal. I do not expect many people watching this video would be filing through the ballot process, and hence I will not cover it in details in this current video. If you want a specific video on this topic, please let me know in comment section, and I'll try to cover it in a separate video. Now, how to process in the US process? If you choose to move out of Bahamas to US process, maybe because you have got a large sum of money and you would want to employ your own lawyer, or you know somebody in US, or you have got greater confidence in the US process, then you will have to opt in for the second option, which says withdraw from Bahamas proof of debt. Right? I will not speak much about this in this video, but I will cover all this detail in a separate video later on. Implication of making contradicting election or no election. Now, this point is important, and hence I would want you to pay attention. Also go through the document. It says customer claims cannot be processed in both Bahamas process and the US process. We know about this. We spoke about this a couple of minutes back. It further says, if by the election deadline, which is 16th of August, customers have submitted and not withdrawn a proof of debt in Bahamas process and elected to have their claim processed in the Bahamas process on FTX Digital Claim Portal, but also submitted and not withdrawn a US ballot where they failed to elect to have their claim processed in the Bahamas process, then their election to participate in the Bahamas process will prevail, and they will be deemed to have elected to participate in the Bahamas process and withdraw from the US process. In short, if you have filed both in Bahamas and in US, and in Bahamas process you have opted for going ahead with the Bahamas process, and in the US process you have not specified that you're going for the Bahamas process. Essentially, in US process also we have said you'll be following US process. Then the default option is Bahamas. So people who have elected for Bahamas and also for US will be treated to be a claimant in the Bahamas process. So that is the default process in this circumstance. It further says, and this is very important, customers who have submitted or will submit a proof of debt in Bahamas but failed to make an election before the election deadline will not have their claim reconciled, adjudicated, or paid in Bahamas process, as their previously submitted proof of debt in Bahamas will be deemed incomplete. Now, as I discussed, most viewers of this channel would have filed their proof of debt by 10th of July, I believe that was. But if you have, in that case, for such people, you have to necessarily go ahead and make an election in this process to be considered under the Bahamas process. I'll repeat, if you have filed your proof of debt in Bahamas, it is important that you go ahead and make your election, that is the voting process, before 16th of August, the deadline of 4 p.m. That was mentioned in the document, in order to be considered for the Bahamas process. If you have filed a proof of debt but you fail to make the election, then you would not be considered as a part of Bahamas. In that case, for those people who have filed the proof of debt in Bahamas and have not been participating to the US, might end up losing. So it is very important that if you wish to proceed with the Bahamas process, and if you have filed a proof of debt already in Bahamas, you have to necessarily go ahead and make your election on or before the deadline specified in the document. I will quickly move to the other important section now. Little less, little is left now. Now, in terms of the valuation, this is something that many people have asked for. Now, the value of scheduled claims is generally the same in both the Bahamas and the US process. We have discussed this several times over. How is it calculated? Your cryptocurrency holding as on 11th of November 2022, that is the bankruptcy date, at 10 a.m. has been considered. Also, if you have open derivative position, the value of that derivative position at 11th November 2022 at 10 a.m. will be considered. This was a query asked by somebody in one of my viewers in the comment section about the derivative position. So if you have an open derivative position, 11th of November 2022 outstanding value at 10 a.m. would be considered for the payout for you. I will also cover this in the Q&A section video that I'll be making shortly. The link for the video is given here. If you want to check what is the asset that you are entitled for, the link is given here. I'll try to place this link also in the comment section and the description of the video. However, you can also reach there by clicking on this link. Beware of the links that you click on though. Also, it specifies to the extent that the surplus proceeds are available to repay customer balances in full, customers are entitled to pay an ex gratia payment representing the. Essentially, I'll summarize it. It says that if money is available, then you will be getting a 9% rate of interest on the outstanding balance on a simple basis, non-compounding. It's not the interest will not generate interest. Essentially, a simple interest basis, you'll be getting 9%. Based on this, the estimated recovery for most people is calculated at 119% of the value of your cryptocurrencies as which were outstanding on 11th of November 2022. This is a much smaller amount of the value that would have been today. For example, back then, one Bitcoin would have been valued less than 17,000 US dollars compared to more than 60,000, around 60,000 US dollars today. But nonetheless, that is the claim amount that has finally arrived at. Your claim value, your total cryptocurrency values added up, you will be entitled to a 9% rate of interest on that. So essentially speaking, that claim amount, you are expected to get around 119% of that. As things stand today, again, nothing official about it from my side, no advice on this, but it is expected to be paid around December or maybe the first quarter of next month, because based on the US court hearing schedule that I'll cover in a separate video, but tentatively you will be getting it probably by December in a highly unlikely scenario, the optimistic scenario, but most likely in the first quarter of the next year, that is 2025. Okay, now NFT holders, they will try to give you NFTs back. If it is not feasible, then they'll try to give the value. I would not cover much details in this. If you want more details, let me know in the comment section. This was also covered in one of the other videos that I have made. Now, it says a couple of things. Most people watching this video or following the channel would have accepted the claim amount as mentioned in the schedule without disputing it. Now, if you dispute it, there are three scenarios that can happen. First of all, your disputed amount can be paid in full. That is, if you have a claim, they might give you the amount you have disputed, and you suppose they had said they owe you $100, and you said no, you owe me $150. They might actually go ahead and pay you $150 if they calculate that the assessments are right. Otherwise, they might pay you lesser amount. The risky part here is they might reject your entire claim in full, in which case you will have the option of filing for a dispute within 21 days of receipt of such a rejection. Now, if your claim amount is high, the difference in claim amount is high, then you might go for the option of disputing. Otherwise, it might be a safer option to rather accept the amount that has been portrayed by the JOLs. However, if your amount is high, then you might want to dispute it. In that case, be prepared to go for a legal discussion or legal proceeding at a later date within 21 days of the notice of rejection. It's not a legal advice, but generally speaking, some people believe that this is a rumor, of course, not financial advice, that the legal proceeding in Bahamas might be cheaper because lawyers might be cheaper over there. Again, not financial advice, but this is what some people believe, that if your values are high, then some people might choose to go for Bahamas because their lawyer cost might be lower. Again, not financial advice. You choose your own decision, make your own decisions based on your circumstances. Now, GOs will conduct KYC and AML check on all customers. This again will be standard. The KYC standard applied by JOL in Bahamas will be substantially or same as the US. Process might have little bit of differences based on the regulatory standards, so on and so forth. The process will be similar to each other. Now, what they say is that the customers and non-customer creditors are required to satisfy the KYC request within 30 days from date of request. If you have received a date of request for completing your KYC, within 30 days, you have to You have to go ahead and comply with that. If you do not comply with 30 days, customers and non-customers who do not satisfy, they will get a second request for 30 days more. And if you customers and non-customers who do not satisfy KYC within 60 days of the second request, that is 90 days from the first request, will be deemed to have forfeited their rights to receive distribution. So be very careful. If you have not filed your KYC, go ahead and do so. If you have received the KYC notice, remember, if you do not file your KYC within 90 days, you will not receive any distribution. So one important aspect that you have to necessarily do your KYC as soon as possible, as soon as you're demanded for, and in no circumstance later than 90 days from being demanded. The KYC process, briefly, they say it will be automated identity matching, pretty much standard for most jurisdictions in the world. I mean, most financial institutions now follow this automated, wherein they you click a photograph of your identification document. There's a liveliness check wherein you ask to shake your head, so on and so forth. Essentially, the typical KYC, but you can go through this. Essentially speaking, it will be an automated one, which might involve a liveliness check, and you have to submit a photograph of your KYC document. It also says customers who have, this is important because the KYC process was opened a lot earlier in US. Most people watching this video would have filed their KYC, completed it into the last year itself. So if you have, for those customers, it's important. If you want to stay in Bahamas process also, they specify that where customers have already provided KYC information in the US process, to the extent possible and permitted by law, the JOL will use this information to minimize the need for customers to repeat steps they may have already performed. By confirming their election to have their claim dealt in the Bahamas process, customers will be required to acknowledge and agree to make any KYC information they have submitted to the US debtors accessible to FTX Digital, its agents, representative, including JOL, and authorize the US debtors to make such KYC information available to FTX Digital, its agent representatives, including JOLs. Essentially meaning, if you have already filed your KYC in US, which I presume most would have already, but if you want to proceed in the Bahamas process, then you should actually authenticate the US process to share your KYC document with the Bahamas process while electing to opt into the Bahamas process. This is important for those who have not been able to file your KYC in Bahamas and have done it in US. You might go for this route. This is very important. Tax requirement: customers who participate in Bahamas process will be required to submit tax residence information to JOLs prior to distribution. I don't recall having read this in the US process, but I'll still cover it in the detailed discussion that I'll have in another video. But it is important that you will have to file your tax residence information to JOL before the distribution happens. This probably would be because of the tax treaty between Bahamas and different nations. So for that purpose, they might be asking for it. Also, I believe it is a requirement under the CSR, that is the Common Reporting Standards of OECD. So therefore might be required. Now, this portion is important. It says customers with reconciled value claims of less than $50,000 or less, 50,000 US dollars or less will be classified as convenience class customer. For these customer, the key highlights is they will be getting 100% of the reconciled claim value, which was essentially your value of your holdings, excluding FTT tokens, so on and so forth, on 11 November 2022, essentially implying your Bitcoin would be priced at less than 70,000 US dollars. The 100% of that valuation of your holdings, and a 9% simple rate of interest, as we discussed some time back. Essentially speaking, this is estimated at 119% today. This is important because many people want to know the approximate amount they'll be getting. Now, those people who have claim amount of more than 50,000 US dollars have an option of opting into convenience class. I'll be showing this in the step-by-step video later on. However, if your claim amount is much higher than 50,000 US dollars, I do not see a reason why people will drop into convenience class. However, if your amount is not significantly higher than 50,000 US dollars, it might be a lot of sense for you to drop your claim to 50,000 so that you get the money faster. This is specified here. It says that this will result in their, if you choose to drop your claim amount to $50,000 or less, this will result in your reconciled claim value being capped at 50,000 US dollars. For example, if you have 51,000 or 50,500 US dollars and you choose opt into the convenience class, you will be considered at a maximum of 50,000 US dollars. That is, you will forego or forfeit your claim above 50,000 US dollars, but you will receive the dividend payment at the same date as the convenience class. Now, generally speaking, convenience class would be mostly large number of people, retail, and hence it is more politically sensitive. Not just politically, it is also natural justice that small people are paid earlier because the value of money might be higher for them, for those people, and hence convenience class people are expected to be paid out half earlier. Although, please note that convenience class people might get a lesser amount than the other customers. It is also specified here. Customers who are not in a convenience class, that is claimed more than 50,000, are expected to receive the distribution over a longer period of time. It could go into years because it would require a lot of other processes also. In their case, they will be getting 100% of claim value just like convenience class plus 9% rate of interest just like convenience class, but they will also receive a share of proceeds from the supplemental remission funds as defined in plan of reorganization. If you are a small borrower, you fall into convenience class, you will get money faster, maybe lesser amount. Again, it is subject to the court judgments. It is also likely that a class action might help you get money faster. There's an option of absolving the third party litigation. I will be covering about this in greater details in that video separately. But for your purpose, convenience class is, if you're a small depositor customer, it might make a lot of sense to be in convenience class. I'll cover about this and the third party releases later on in another video. But essentially speaking, if you are a part of convenience class, you can expect to receive around 119% specified here, 119% here. And if you are not in convenience class, distribution is estimated at approximately 129 to 143,000 per percent of your claim. That is a slightly higher amount, but might not be worth the wait. Depends on you. If your amount is more than 50,000, you might choose to wait. Of course, your choice entirely. Broadly speaking, these are the key highlights from this document. There are a couple of things that become important. First, if you have got a claim of less than 10 US dollars, you are de facto, it is advisable that you might go for the Bahamas process, not legal advice. It sounds logical to go for the Bahamas process. Secondly, uh, if you have already filed for Bahamas process proof of debt you have submitted, then it becomes important that you go ahead and claim your and make your election to be eligible for getting the money. Third, you have to necessarily file your KYC to be considered. If you have not filed your KYC, then you might not get the money. Also, you have to file your KYC, submit your KYC documents within 90 days of the first demand. So be careful on the timelines. Whenever you get a demand, you have to file your KYC ASAP. Also, you can opt, if you have filed in your KYC in the US process, you might save your time and effort by opting in the Bahamas process in the US filings. But at the same time, in that, which would de facto allow them to share your KYC documents with the Bahamas process. That might be a convenient way of going about it. Other highlight from this document is the amount that you can expect. It says the expected recovery is around 119% of your claim amount that we discussed. The link you can check your actual amounts. 119% of your claim amount for convenience class, which is essentially claim of up to 50,000 US dollars, and between 129 and 143% for the non-convenience class, which is people with demand or claim of more than 50,000 US dollars. However, convenience class is expected to be paid say around December in the best case scenario, and probably in the first quarter of 2025. The others, non-conveners, might get paid much later. Probably it might take years. Who knows? So depends on your preferences. I would, if I had a claim of slightly more than 50,000, I would rather drop to convenience class, get my money faster, because I believe that I can make that money grow, invest it elsewhere, so on and so forth. Depends on your circumstance and your position. No advices here, no financial advice. But I think I have covered in a nutshell most important parts of this document. I will make another detailed video if you're interested in nitty-gritties. I will also make a step-by-step video of both the Bahamas process and the US process shortly within the next 24 hours or so. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. A lot of effort goes into making these videos. Do hit the like button if you find it useful. If you have any queries, comments, suggestions, so on and so forth, write in the comment section and I'll try to get back to you to the best of my ability as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching, and do share with your friends and family if you find it will be useful to them. See you. Take care. I'll see you shortly in the next video.